Just outside of Wickenburg, Arizona, sits a town built by Henry Wickenburg, built for mining gold. Vulture City often came under attack from other local groups, diseases, and within, and hold stories and artifacts that are still being unearthed.
We're standing inside the roost. We also call this the museum. In the museum, all the artifacts that are inside the museum are all 100% from the grounds of Vulture City. So these items have a lot of attachments. We have a pair of baby shoes in one of the cabinets over here that emits their own EMF. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen sometimes. Later in the evening, if you guys want to pull them out and see if we can get some activity off of it, I'd be more than happy to bring those out.
Does that usually happen like when you put them on, or?
Only after midnight. I'm just kidding. So with this building, we have a lot of things happen. My team went here, we were investigating, and we had heard the piano playing, not once, but twice, and the phone actually ringing.
Does the piano work?
The piano works.
Okay.
So if you jump up and down, you might be able to get it to make a little bit of noise. Same with the phone, but we were standing still, we were doing an EVP session, and the piano plays twice and the phone rings. Just with that being said alone, definitely not something you usually see like in a haunted location.
Sure.
But like I said, this place is filled with artifacts, all from Vulture City. So we have a lot of things in here that are unidentified that possibly could be emitting their own, energy or have some type of attachment. This is one of the buildings that I spend a lot of time in. I can tell you that for me, this is probably one of the most active buildings on the property. It was an old miner's cabin back in the day. The previous owner of Vulture City, the caretaker, actually lived in this actual building itself. So him and his wife stayed here. So are we getting kind of residual energy from that?
Did they die here? Or?
No, they didn't.
Okay.
But I'm just wondering if there's just not, are we getting that from the mine side? There's just so many different elements happening at Vulture City, which makes it, kind of being confusing for the best of us in this field to really kind of like, what is it coming from? Is it coming because the mine's still active, or is it coming from the artifacts, the combination? Is it a collective type of haunting? What is it,
And that's still a very active mine over there.
Yeah, very much so. So they run pretty much 24/7 for the past 2 years that we've been here. So
Gold coming out of there?
To my understanding, quite a bit, yes.
So there's potential too that the spirits that are here may still want that gold.
Absolutely. I mean, and you have that's what this town was built upon. It was built upon gold. It was built upon the fact that this is a place to make a living and to raise a family, and get that money. And I think that some of them still are here, and they're still living out their day as they would have in the late 1800s, early 1900s.
This is the brothel, right?
Yeah, so we're in the brothel right now. I guess we can call this the madam's quarters. A lot of stuff has gone down in here, anywhere from, we had industrial lighting set up on the stove. One evening we were having an overnight lockdown, and there was a young teenager actually that was here with his mother who captured it on video, but something picked it up off this stove and it got thrown right here in the middle of the floor.
So they like to throw things in this room.
In this room, yeah.
That's awesome.
So a lot of movement in here. I've seen a $50 bill levitate off someone's hand for a good second over here in this area. This doll right here, if you have a K2 meter, I would recommend putting it up to her. You'll see that she emits her own energy when things start picking up in here. And that's that doll right there. This doll right here, this is one that brings a lot of energy. I'm not sure why, if there's an attachment, I have no idea. I was in here about 2 weeks ago and I was filming, and I had asked if the spirits in here realized that they died and that they passed on. And then we heard a big bang at the glass back here in the kitchen. And I didn't know I had caught an audio piece, but whenever this is an instant playback, and when I did the playback, it said, "I'm dead." It was just letting me know that it knew, so it's intelligent. But the funny thing is that you're getting a male talking in here a lot.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that you'd be getting that inside of a brothel, but there's a male. So all the audio I've ever gathered inside of this room has been that of a male. So yeah, so this room in general, it's very audible. You're getting a lot of EVPs out of here, a lot of bangs, a lot of noises, and some visuals. The room over here is where we caught on video the door slam. And that happened during our paranormal conference back in 19 of last year. That was caught fully on video. There was no breeze, there was no gust of wind that would have caused it. And you even see the door wind back and then slam on command. So that happened in that particular room right there.
That's crazy. Y'all check this out. This room right here, this door slammed shut. This is awesome right here.
So I can tell you back here. So you guys have the lockdown here. You guys feel free to wander throughout these areas that are kind of close to the public. While you're in there, one at a time, please. No touching any of the artifacts. Back here on this back deck, I was sitting back there with two females from Orange County that had come here on a tour, and we were talking about the strange light anomalies in the desert behind this building. And at that time, something kicked the back of the wall or hit it so hard that it jarred me off the wall and sent both of them jumping onto me. I screamed probably like an 11-year-old girl because I wasn't expecting it. But there was nobody back there, no explanation, doesn't make any sense. But that's not the first time something like that's happened. So that's happened quite a few times to where extreme like bangs back here in this back area. There's a closet in here. We had some YouTubers out here about 3 weeks ago, and they claimed the dress in the closet moved 12 to 15 inches when they were on video. No one's allowed past the ropes here because Instagram people decided it was cool to sit on the gynecology cable and take up photographs.
Fantastic.
So they don't let anybody in here anymore. My first visit on the property 2 years ago, I was standing right where you're at, and I always snap a series of 5 photographs. The reason why I do that is to debunk what I have, in front of me. So my first 2 photographs and going back to review it were just this room. Now the room looked much different then than it does now. There wasn't much in it. But the first 2 photographs were just the room. I think there was a bed back here in the corner. My third photograph, however, had what appears to be a female with her fingers reaching out this way towards the lens. And right behind her, it looked like a male just because of the broadness of the shoulders and the cap he was wearing, a shadowy figure right behind her. I have that photo, I can show it to you.
That'd be awesome.
And then the 4th and 5th photographs, same location, was the exact same as the first 2. So when I look at it, it almost looks like a motion photo, like you're moving or there's a shutter issue. But there was no movement on my end, so there must have been movement in front of the frame to cause it. So for me, this room definitely is a good place to be in. This wheelchair back here, during one of our tours, was actually moving forward. This wheelchair was, and backwards and hitting the wall, and that's the wheelchair in the corner. So this room's pretty, it's really good. That room's good. This whole section's really good. Back here, I have a lot of psychics, sensitives, mediums that tell me that there's a baby garden behind here. And I mean that as a shallow grave of a lot of children that were buried here from abortions that would have taken place inside the doctor's office. It's said that this doctor wasn't very friendly, that this doctor might have been a little bit kind of office rocker a little bit. He would sway minors and buy them food and whatnot, and then next thing you know, they'd get sick. Well, he left a trail of sick and dead people from here to Wickenburg to Dewey. His last known about spot is in Napa Valley at the Insane Asylum Cemetery. So with that being said, and what I've heard from psychics and sensitives, that he wasn't a very nice guy, and that some of these babies, these children, were buried back here in this area. Now, do I know that for a fact? I don't know that for a fact. That's just going based upon what I've heard from many people who didn't even know the stories. So, and that would be this area. And it's kind of weird because some people who have told me this did remote readings of this place, and they didn't even know the layout. So they wouldn't even have known that this is like a squared out box, that we have these cactus going this way in this formation. It does seem as if something might, have been in here. Like there might have been a reason for it. And for all we know, there could have been grave markers. We just don't have anything historically that we can base that upon as fact. But I would love to know. Because if they are here, I'd love to honor them in their lives, and make sure that they did have headstones.
Yeah, and they say a lot of kids died here from the influenza too.
1918 influenza ran through here, killed a ton of people. That's why we have the cemetery right down the road from here, which the majority of those markers are that of the influenza. And it was said that one of the nurses here actually contracted the influenza, and she was told to stay indoors and to not go out, much like we have now with the COVID, right? She refused to do so. She went to the cookhouse. From the cookhouse, she spread influenza supposedly through the entire town.
Wow.
Yeah.
So one nurse killed the entire town.
Yeah, that's what rumor says. So
that's incredible.
It's pretty crazy. So yeah, this is definitely a good spot to check out.
Jay, is it true that 18 people truly were hung here?
We know verified that there was 18 people that were hung from this tree. One of those hangings, to give you a connection between this and the Assay office, was that they had noticed that gold was missing in the Assay office. For 3 days, they kind of tracked down who this person was. They finally found him. And within 5 minutes, they had drug him from the Assay office out here across the courtyard, hung him, and killed him on the street.
So the rumors about vigilante juries basically are true.
It very much so true out here. The 18 deaths were all chummed up to thievery, stealing of gold, things of that nature. So that was a big deal here, and these miners didn't tolerate it. So if you were caught doing that, you'd find your way on the street. Now there's stories, and there might be more than 18. We know documented that there is 18 people that were hung from this tree. What I do know from history as well, that these people weren't really well respected in the community after this happened. So sometimes these people might just be cut down from this rope and just thrown out here. A good Samaritan might come by and decide to bury them down in the cemetery, or an animal could just drag them off. You never knew what was really going to happen with these people because they weren't really well respected after doing it.
Is it also true that people that weren't respected in this town were shot dead and buried where they lay?
We hear a lot of that Old West type stuff, that they were shot dead. I don't have any documentation that's going to show you that they were shot dead, buried there. There is a plot behind the Wells Fargo building that we found recently of a lonely grave that's sitting there. So it kind of makes me wonder, is that one of those people? Entering into the Assay office.
Let's do it. All right, guys, so we're going to head in here. This place right here, EVPs. People have been literally pushed down the stairs. There are so many reports of physical violence right here in this building.
You can literally smell the history when you walk in here. I don't know if you noticed that throughout all the other buildings you walk in here. It's just got that strong, musky, smell to it that not all the other buildings have. That's recent too. That's not something that's been here the 2 years I've been here. This is within the past 6 months. So this is where they literally processed the gold over here in that last room we were in, and they molded down into bars. This is kind of a multi-purpose building, if you will. So they were able to kind of process everything through each one of these rooms. They lived on site. They had their own office here.
That's crazy right now.
We're walking now into the vault.
All right, that's what I'm talking about.
So
This is it?
This is where they held all the gold.
Oh, this is fantastic. Right here, guys, this is where they held all the gold. Right here, people would literally defend this and try to steal it. I'm gonna go down into this hole right now.
She's braver than me. I've never been down here before. I refuse to.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So guys, down here there is gold. Give me that, Steve. They have gold bars down here, and you can kind of see them, and it's pretty awesome. Check that out. They have gold bars down here, and that right there is enough to create that kind of energy. I can't hear it. Take this away from me. Okay. So check this out, guys. I'm down here in this tunnel, and there is actually gold bars down here. They're replicas, but, just putting these bars down here is enough to kind of incite some activity, especially if there's someone down here who's protecting this. And this pit, it's just like, imagine coming and looking up into this pit here, and this is where they kept all this gold. It's incredible.
All right. A little higher.
Got it? Oh yeah, I'll come down here all day long.
Yeah.
We have that landing right there, which is the second story where they would actually sleep in the property. So if you managed to make it through the door and these 4-foot walls, by the time you got here, there would have been a rail cart or something that would have gone over the top of this. They already have you covered in an upright position. You're pretty much already in a bad situation, so you're not going to get the gold, you know what I mean? So, it was strategically thought out. There's a reason why the building's 4 foot thick. It has all these little outcroppings in the walls and areas for them to kind of look and monitor it. Yeah, this is the vault. It's pretty thick in here.
From what I understand, they had multiple guards in this building too,
Yeah,
right?
they always had guards in here. They always had a guard watching at least one. And then generally speaking, they would be up over in this upstairs area, and they'd be looking out the window overseeing the mine.
That's incredible. So, I heard a rumor that a gentleman named Mr. Stanton died here. You know about that?
Is that the one that was supposedly shot outside the door?
Yeah, that he had supposedly raped and molested a teenage girl, was stealing gold, and they actually shot him outside the door of this room?
I've heard two part. I've heard that was an urban legend, and I've also heard that that's actually history. So I've heard 50% of each on each side, so I can't really tell you without a shadow of a doubt that's true. It would make sense that something like that traumatic happened in this building, given some of the feelings that women and people get inside this building. They get a sense of being not alone, when they should be feeling much so alone. They're feeling being watched. They almost feel as if like someone's following them throughout the building. I know we've captured, as my team investigated in here, there's something very intelligent in here that will call us by our own names.
Wow.
So it will duplicate our names. So if I'm calling out for one of my crew members, like, hey, Damien, it will say Damien. Like on our record, we were catching this a lot. So it knows that you're here. It's very well aware. So even in death,
oh wow, I'm getting chills
the
right now.
security is still much so
I just
alive.
got like really cold right here. Do you feel that?
No, the place is weird. It's got cold spots in throughout.
I was standing here and I was warm, and all of a sudden I just
I'm sweating
look, my
bullets.
hairs are literally standing up on end right now.
Yeah,
That's
chill
crazy.
bumps, yeah.
So I have to ask you a question then.
Sure.
If it doesn't like women, do you think it's a good idea that I stay in here by myself tonight?
I wouldn't say it's a good idea, but you did sign the waiver, so.
All right, so I definitely need to do it.
You should do it. You should see what happens. It'd be interesting to see. We have not yet had a woman brave enough to stay in here for a long duration of time by herself. The upstairs is where, allegedly an investigator was attacked, punched in the face, broke down the stairs. But probably 9 out of 10 women that we come through in the day tours, and they do their self-guided tour around the town, they come back and if they're talking to us, like, there's something weird about that 2-story building, I just felt creepy and I heard noises and I felt like someone was following me. But we get that a lot. It's usually women that say that. So we get door slams in here, loud bangs. We do have bats. They're pretty well controlled though, so it's not as bad as what it used to be.
So it's not going to give me like blood, like second blood?
No, hopefully not, no. But the rodents and stuff problem has been taken care of. I mean, so
awesome.
A lot of what you're hearing is you got a question, like, is it paranormal,
Yeah.
But this is the place, if you're looking for ghosts, that you should be.
Awesome. So let's head up there then.
Right.
If they don't like me, let's do it. All right, so we are in the other half of the assay office, and Jay's going to tell us a little more about this, and then we are going to go upstairs to where they don't like me.
So this would be like living quarters. This would be where they have their meals. Like I said, it's like a one-stop shop, shop here. I mean, they had everything set up here for them to not have any reason to really leave. Just like any other house, you have your table, you have your fireplace. Pretty well self-sustaining, especially for back then.
That's what I'm talking about. I love to cook, so if y'all could prep me a meal, I'm hungry. Can we do this? I'd like to see some pots and pans and dishes moving tonight.
This does not open. It's been screwed shut for obvious reasons. So you would have had security here. This is a glory hole right back here. So before that hill wasn't there, you would have been able to see very clearly into that pit. So this would have been a great vantage point for security at night. Plus, obviously, right over here is the vault. So you're able to look down on that. Back here, you're able to see right in front of the hanging tree at the back door. So they had pretty much a good vantage point of everything going on in the town for a reason, because they needed to make sure they knew what was happening at all times.
So they literally shot people from right here. Talk about some energy, right? You talk about places where shootings, mass murder, mass executions happen. This right here is the place it happened from. The men who pulled the trigger were on this floor. So in many cases, a lot of people died at the hands of the people in this room. And you talk about violence and the fact that people up here have been pushed, shoved, hit. This is the place where it happened.
Yeah, so I would just say, be careful in here, because this place is this place is different, man, than the rest of the place. It's not very forgiving. I haven't I haven't caught like the Holy Grail in here, you know. I just know that it's here, and I just kind of respect it.
We certainly respect it too.
This area in and of itself has kind of been newly restored, and with that, I think it's brought about a newfound energy. This stuff was not like this before. They just recently redid all of this, and even the staging. And I can tell you, I've been up here a lot of times, guys, and I'm not just trying to throw shade and bullshit, but like, it does feel different tonight than most nights. We usually have lighting in here, which is not in here tonight. I don't know if that's part of it, but it's definitely a thicker feeling than normal in here. So just be careful when you're in here.
Yeah.
We recently had some people here investigating, and I was at the Roost, and I was coming back down the hill, and not in this vault room, but at the very end, there was somebody looking out the window, and you could see them like peeking down, looking out the window. So I thought these people that were investigating were kind of like not really following the rules of the town. So I was coming down here to kind of like, you know, get them out. And by the time I got halfway downtown, they started running out of the brothel, screaming that a dress had moved in the brothel. So I knew that they weren't here. On a tour I did, a female captured what appeared to be a man looking through that same window. It's the second window if you're looking from it on this side of the building.
Awesome.
To the left. So the church house is right behind the cookhouse here. It's the one that's kind of out of sorts. It's kind of got the white siding on it. That was originally, it was here on the property. It moved to Wickenburg and it sat outside of a church for many years. It was just recently donated back within less than a year. Reports in there are, you hear hymns, which is strange because that wasn't what it was used for. That was what it was used for in the church. So we get like reports of hymns being sung in there. And there's a little girl that frequents this town that follows my wife and I home a lot. Her name is Izzy. So if you call upon Izzy is a little girl here. She's a young girl. Her mom's here. She's not lost. She likes to communicate. She will touch you. She will use the devices to communicate. She comes through a lot in that church house. So that one's super weird, but you know, you get some stuff in there. The cookhouse, we've heard babies crying in the back. That used to be the sleeping quarters for the cooks. So that's another thing there that goes on. The bunkhouse, my team calls that the EVP headquarters because they get EVPs out of it. Plus it's really well insulated so you don't get outside disturbances. Part of the workshop's open, the rest of it's part that they use, but you're more than welcome to go in there as well. Just the other day at about 3 o'clock, and I don't know if this is paranormal, but I'm just throwing this out there. The post office window exploded, and so did the cookhouse on the side. It exploded within seconds of each other, for like no reason, like at all. And it wasn't even that hot. I think it was like 80 something that day. So
that's
something
awesome.
Weird.
Look in the mirror and tell me what you see now. Is it clearer? The lessons we learn, the weight of the world all come crashing down. I'm racing around just to see your face in my reflection. See your face in my